But my number one concern is going to be kind of easy here, and that's who's going to be my 2 starting corners. Who's it going to be? Am I going to see Jarrian Jones go back out there? You lose Asante Samuel Jr. He's at the Chargers. He's going to absolutely kill it in the NFL over there. But going back here with the talent that you have, who are going to be your 2 starting corners? I think Jarrian Jones was dealing with injuries throughout the whole season, mainly a hand one, gave him some problems. Will we see him jot out there? I want to see Miko Dotson. I thought that, he wasn't fully healthy either. He was put out there and made some plays on some balls, but I just didn't get to see enough. I have a lot of respect for him, and I think that he's a playmaker. Do I go over here and I grab a Brownlee guy that's got the energy? He was starting in a couple of spring scrimmages that me and Dustin were at. Who's going to be? Could it be a shocking guy? Could it be like Austin said, a bold prediction where he thinks Kevin Knowles is going to be a shocker and maybe jump into some of the rotation during fall camp? There's a lot of guys, and there's some that I might not even be naming right now, but I think that is one of my biggest concerns heading into fall camp.
I'm going to take that a couple steps further and just say the whole defense in general. I mean, last year they had so much talent and just completely underwhelmed. A lot of people are going to say fuller schemes, but people are going to say the position coordinators weren't doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, we consistently saw the defensive line play without leverage, the linebackers out of position, defensive backs getting beat, whether it's the wrong coverage, whether they're in the wrong spot. That's stuff they got to get figured out. And it's another defense that has a ton of talent between Travis Jake, Kiara Thomas. We already talked about Jermaine Johnson. I think the linebackers are going to take a step forward. But just the defense in general last year was so underwhelming. But we got to see them take that step back to consistency if we want Florida State to get where we think they can get to.
The good thing is we have seen, the coaches take notice of that, and they've completely revamped the defensive end room. They've added a lot of talent to the defensive backfield. Not really much at linebacker, but the guys there are young and expected to continue to grow. So, I mean, there is some reasons for optimism that this defense is going to bounce back. And I wouldn't say, to the elite of college football, but, hopefully this defense, I would say if they're an average to above average unit, I mean, that's, basically all you can ask for at this point after what we saw last year.
Well, just kind of follow up on you guys' comments, one more year until the best cornerback in the history of high school football comes over, and there's Tallahassee and Travis Hunter. But I agree with Dustin. And what Austin said, kind of a combination of everything. You look at the defense, and you can really question some of the calls, but some of that falls on the players and them just being dumb. And I'm not saying intellectually. I'm just saying making dumb plays, being out of position, taking false steps. Not maybe necessarily being where they should be because they're not following the play. But at the end of the day, Florida State's got to get a pass rush. That's what's going to help. That secondary. Florida State is loaded in the secondary with talented players that everyone who's who in college football wanted. It's not a lack of talent. It's a lack of some coaching and understanding of maybe what the coach and the coaches want to do on that side of the ball. I don't know if they necessarily really knew what they wanted to do on defense last year, but these players need to take some ownership too in their play and in their lack of focus. So, but they got to get the pass rush. So, like Dustin said, they trust that this offseason.
I mean, realistically, you could say there's a concern at every single position.
Mm-hmm.
Like at quarterback, you got Milton, who, he's proven, but he's been injured. Travis wasn't really a big throwing guy. There's concerns there. Running back, he was a big producer in Webb. Yeah, you've got Toafili, Corbin, and Williams, but how does that all shake out? Mm-hmm. Tight end group's really young and inexperienced. Offensive line hasn't been anything in a decade, which, they have some talent, but until they show us something, no one's going to believe it. Wide receiver room, really young, no production. You can go position by position and say it's your top concern, and no one would even bat an eye about it. There's a lot of question marks, but still a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
What are y'all's thoughts on Akeem Dent going back to the DB room? feel like he's going to be back 100%. Didn't seem like he was fully there maybe last season. Was coming from a
was not
nasty
fully
ankle
healthy last
injury the
year.
year before. Yeah, no, not fully
He was
back,
not.
but seems like there's a lot of optimism that he's a full on go healthy and ready to rock this season. Will he be a competitor in that cornerback room, or is that a potential big time recruit? Is that a bust? Is Den a bust or no?
I would not say he's a bust because he had a really good freshman season. He was banged up last year off that ankle, and he wasn't fully healthy. If you look what he's done this offseason, he's now the biggest cornerback. He's now 203 pounds. So, if he can get it back, that he's a wild card. If he can get back to that freshman form, that's going to be really good for the defense. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options back there, and there's a lot of versatility back there. So that's good for the defense, and they can put a lot of guys in different positions. So I'm eager to see how it all unfolds. But
yeah,
so DB's your main question.
I would say for me, yeah, I'm looking at the DB room and where those guys are going to be put in there because that was little. Didn't seem like, I don't think the spring helped at all, but it just seemed all over the place for Coach Woodson. And I understand that there was injuries, and that of course did not help one bit. But you've got all that talent back there, and you got it. So it's not going to be the easy job. I think it's the same way, kind of a little bit for Coach Atkins on figuring out who fits where the best and where they can stay there the best for throughout the season. You could put someone in there for a little bit and they play well a few games, but man, can there be some consistency there? And that's something on the opposite side of Asante Samuel Jr. Florida State was not able to find. But that I would say mine is that definitely who you're two starting cornerbacks at least. If anybody else wants to give their main top concern.
I mean, should we say 3 since we run a lot of nickel? Because I think Brownlee is going to be in the slot primarily. I just think he's a perfect slot guy. Then who the 2 boundary corners are, to me, that's a bigger discussion.
Yeah, who do you have? Who are you setting as that third guy? You got youngins too that are in also. Like who are you going to keep there? And that's a big time position nowadays.
Like who do I want it to be, or who do I think it's going to be?
How about both?
I would like to see. I think Brownlee is that sub package guy, who can also be like the primary, backup at one of the corner spots. I just like him in the way he can, he blitzes really well. I like him in smaller spaces. He was a freshman last year and he got beat on a lot of the intermediate deep stuff. But if you keep him in, that 10 to 15, let him blitz, I think that utilizes his strength a little bit more. I would like to see Dent bounce back. I think that would be really good for this defense. I think Brandon Moore is going to have something to say. He was playing at a really high level before he got hurt. Eager to see how he comes back. But I think you're going to see a lot of rotation.
Is that a good thing or bad thing?
It depends.
I feel like there was a good amount of that last year. I know the health wasn't. We already mentioned that, but
yeah. I think you gotta let you guys get a rhythm, but also, I don't think they did hit a lot in the spring and how they were going to use everyone. Also, I think they were very vanilla during the spring. So, I mean, now I want to see Travis Jay take the next step. I think that him and I would like to see Ronaldo Green back at corner. I really liked him at corner as a freshman. I would like you got to get your best 5 on the field. Don't know how that unfolds yet, so I really can't answer on what I want or what I think it's going to be. I got to see some more, or hear some more from before camp starts. But they've been also competitive in 7-on-7s, and they've been going back and forth. So
I was going to say Dustin, to me, whenever we were watching Brandon Moore play, I thought that he was around the ball quite a bit on point at a pick off of, who was it? Was it Milton, I believe? In the second scrimmage we were at, he was playing. It's hard to kind of remember these now, but he played. We know overall, though, we were covering it.
I think it was Rodemaker, maybe. I don't think it was Milton.
But,
I remember there being a red zone.
I do think Jaron Jones is going to have a lot to say. He's healthy. I think he had a really good spring, so I think he's going to have a lot to say. He had a nagging injury last year, and that put him in a lot of bad spots. And he pushed through injuries to be there for the team, so he's healthy. We'll see.
We haven't even brought up guys like Demore Tate, who is recovering from an injury, and also Kevin Knowles, who briefly got mentioned earlier, but very impressive during the spring. We'll see if he can pop into that rotation. So, I mean, really, there's a lot of options for Florida State at cornerback, and the cream is going to rise to the top, as they say.